Go driver and go back a hair.
You need another half inch. Don't straighten out this. Keep it crank like that. Put your wrist and knuckle. Like you're clear, but just leave it like that. Then you'll feel it. Then cut that. Yeah, now cut that.
And in all honesty, that is all I got of Topless. I didn't get much on that trail. We stayed in the rig. It was fairly short. I didn't get a whole lot of Calamity either, even though there was one big Calamity on Calamity. Near the start, I went through a narrow rock V. The rocks were taller than Penny, and hit the clutch at the wrong time and slid into a rock and damaged the windshield frame. We did finish the trail, and I was bummed that I damaged Penny, but it is what it is. That's going to happen on some of these trails. They tell you body damage is expected, and that was a novice mistake. I am going to show you how I've fixed the windshield frame, and how I'm going to try to prevent that from happening in the future, besides just being a better driver. But in the meantime, I hope you're enjoying a little bit on that trail, Calamity, and also what it took to get out of this trail. It was just me, Bryan, and Peter with the 3 rigs. It still took us 4 hours to get up this rock face. We all had different issues trying to get up it, but we all managed to get up it with the help of our winches. All it really taught me is that, oh my goodness, do I ever need a different front bumper? And that is in the plan. Probably won't happen before Trail Hero, though. That's probably going to be a winter project. But enjoy, and I'll be back with how I fixed the windshield frame.
No, not that much wind. More, no, let it out. Okay. So, start to drive and winch. Drive, winch. Winch, drive. Right there. Don't give that up. Line in. You're in a good spot. Alright. One more technique. Okay. We gotta work really small together. I know. Drive the winch. Let's see what it does. Drive the winch. Gotta do them both. I know it's a lot. Let the winch catch up. Yeah. Put the clutch out. No.
That's kind of uncomfortable.
Okay. There you go. I like it. Yes. Yeah, but it's all right. Come on up. Stop. Remember, you're aiming just inside this guy. Your bumper's not going to let that happen. That's not going to work, Peter.
Yeah, that's
Hard that way. Maybe. Turn my way some. Yep. Come on up. There's a chance. Straighten it out. Yep. Okay. Now, this
So, many of you may know that I've done the paint work on Penny myself. We paid for the sandblasting to be done because, well, that's a pretty huge job when you're sandblasting an entire vehicle. But I did all the paint work myself, and that included the Raptor liner on the interior. Unfortunately, I made one big mistake. While I could have chosen any OEM paint color out there for any that's been on any car, I didn't do that. I picked a very custom color that had never been used on a vehicle before, or at least in an OEM capacity. I'm sure tons of people have used it when they purchased it from Eastwood, just as I have. But that means that when something happens, I get to do the paint and body work myself. And that's exactly what I'm about to do. On Calamity, I caused a calamity. That's what happens when you kind of run it into a rock. This is actually not the door. This is the pinch of the seal behind the door here. The door itself is actually fine. So a new windshield frame has arrived, and yes, I get to paint that and it'll be ready to go. But I have some additional things I have to do before I can actually paint the windshield frame and get that going. And that's because I want to stage the steps in the right way. And the first thing I have to do is that I've chosen to add Undercover Fabworks armor to Penny. This is a new piece of armor for her, and I think it's going to work really well to help protect this from happening again. I really like this piece. It looks like it fits up just really nice, but it looks like it also arrived bare steel. Unfortunately, the windshield frame didn't. And so I have to catch this piece and this other piece up with what is with the windshield frame, which has already come pre-primed. I just need to sand it down before I do urethane primer on it. So today's project is to get epoxy primer on these and then let them cure for 48 hours. And at that point, it will be ready for the same same urethane step that the windshield frame will do. So in a couple days, we'll be painting that, painting the copper, and then taking it to a glass shop after it cures and off gases so that it can do, so that it can get new glass installed, and I'll be ready to hit the trails again. Next step I have is paint prep, and this step involves just sanding everything down. This takes off the flash rust, any oils, any marks that have been made during the manufacturing process, any of that, and also roughs it up so that it has a good texture for the epoxy paint to stick to. So my little paint setup here isn't all that spectacular. Yeah, it's outdoors, and it's a nice hot day, so I want to make sure there was plenty of shade so nothing would get cooked unevenly by the sun. But no, this isn't a paint booth. This isn't anything spectacular. And I'm just doing little parts, so it should be just fine. I've got them hung by hangers here, by wire hangers. And yeah, it even works to hold my gun too. The next step in my process is to go through and clean the products with Pre, which is a great paint prep cleaner from Eastwood, and make sure that they all work out well. Some things I noticed while I was sanding is there was some rough edges that if someone were rubbing their hands against it or something could lead to a cut. So I was glad to be able to sand those out and make sure that anybody who works on this rig is not going to get injured necessarily by sharp edges on this rig. Pretty well. Okay. This is something I ran into a while back. I don't like this, so you have to support it. There we go. 30-minute flash time. So it's time for coat number 2. And you'll notice I flipped them upside down. They're dry enough to the touch now after 30 minutes that I could do that. And the idea here is to make sure that I'm not only even on the paint and the edges and all that, I'm even from top to bottom. And on this one, you can kind of see down here, that's where the hanger got in the way of it. And so it'll allow me to get at least a little bit of epoxy on that particular location too. Also notice I've hung them from the back. So this means from the front, when I go to finish them with color and stuff, it will be really consistent. So, coat number 2. So it's time to get going on Penny's windshield frame. This one was ordered from carparts.com and it arrived pre-primed. One thing I know I need to do is find out what type of primer this is. There's 2 types of coatings that can be shipped in. One is just plain old primer, and of course most manufacturers of aftermarket parts of this variety try to use the cheapest primer they can get for volume discounts. And then there's another one that's an actual coating that is a rust preventative and such, and it's a much higher quality coating. The difference between the two, in other words, how to tell between the two, is to use lacquer thinner. Right there. Put some on a paper towel, rub it into the black very gently, but very consistently as well. And then then you pull the towel up and check and see if it's clean. And if it is, it's the good quality primer. All we'll need to do then is scuff it up with the red Scotch-Brite there and get it cleaned up with panel surface prep. And then we'll be able to mix up our 2K urethane and spray it along with the 2 pieces that were sprayed 2 days ago that are now in epoxy, and get these all the same color so that we can do whatever sanding we want to do and work toward getting color on these. But let's do the lacquer thinner test. Just dab some on this rag here and rub it in. Just give it a few really good swipes. I'm trying a few different areas here just to make sure I get decent coverage. And what I expect to see is no black. I might see some dust and dirt, but I'm hoping to see no black. And that's true. That's dirt, but that's the area that was being rubbed, and it is definitely not black. I am good to go for urethane primer. That is, after I get this all cleaned up. Obviously it needs cleaned, so that's my next step. One of the things that I've learned from watching a lot of auto body people is do the project by feel. When you get to the sanding part, close your eyes, don't look at the panel, and just try to feel the imperfections. As soon as I started sanding, I did that, and I found more imperfections than I was expecting. So we have had, and I know it's dark, but we have had to do a little tiny bit of work. Now that I know that looks like a lot, but like 90% of it's going to sand away. But that does mean I'm going to have to recoat tomorrow, and you know, that's just what it is. If I want it the way I want it. I know it's a trail rig, and you know, trail rigs don't always need this kind of love, but I just want to take time to practice my skills, and there's nothing wrong with that. So another night, I'll let that cure. I'll sand it tomorrow morning, and hopefully by the end of tomorrow it will be finished and off-gassing enough for the paint or the glass shop. Well, we're back in primer, and I love the way this turned out. Came in, sanded it this morning. There used to be a dent there. It was right under where the hook is, so it was right here. And that was from shipping. The box wasn't enough, and well, I didn't notice it until too late. So went ahead, did a little bit of body fill, and it is now perfectly flat. Now let's just hope it doesn't pop out. But like I said, you know, body filler on a trail rig, kind of a bad idea. I get it, but I also use some body fill on this panel, And it's turning out really well too. It just had a weird old wave to it, so went ahead and fixed that. It turned out good too. So now it is time to apply me some color. And we're gonna make this thing copper now. And now we have the front done. And it's looking beautiful. Next step, let it cure, check for sags, check for imperfections, and then clear coat. We're almost there. Oh my, look at that sparkle. So this has been curing since Tuesday night. It is now Friday afternoon, and I'm about to take this bad boy in and get some new glass installed. Part of the benefit of being a member of the club that I'm in is that we get a discount on glass services. So thank you, Premium Auto Glass. We're on the way to visit you. Premium Auto Glass did their usual wonderful job, and now the windshield frame is back, and actually back in its shipping box. Why? Well, that's because we have another project coming that is going to require taking the windshield out of Penny. And instead of just putting a brand new one in and then risking breaking or scratching anything by taking it out, we're actually going to just let it set and continue to cure and off-gas. What is that project? Well, yeah, we'll show you here in a bit, but it's going to be a great one, and it starts phase 4, the Nafety for Safety for Penny. So, Perfect. Thanks for watching.